Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I'm so happy to be here. If you are listening live, it is the 21st of September at about 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you're listening to an archive or a replay, I also want to welcome you to the show. How's it going? I'm so happy to be here, guys. I want to let you know a couple of things. I am over in the chat room, and you can find that by heading over to 12radio.com. That's number 2 radio.com, and click on the chat button, and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. And you're welcome to go chat there. That's where you'll find others. You'll find my banner at the top of the page, and you're welcome to come and visit with me there. I am also live streaming this event from YouTube and Facebook, and you can find that by just searching for Katie Weaver Domestic Mystic, and you'll find it. So come and chat with us. I would love to see you in any of those places. We have a lot going on. Full moon yesterday, fall equinox tomorrow. My God. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I think it feels good. I'm not hating it. This has been pretty, for lack of a better term, energetic energy. That sucks. What I mean is, it's been high energy. You hopefully have been feeling some good creative energy and feeling the pull to get lots done and do some things that you've been thinking about doing and maybe haven't been able to get to. It's a good vibe. We'll take it. So, because I am a true crime podcaster, this last week has been kind of a whirlwind because we ended up with a missing person in my area. And so Christy and I started covering it early. It was the Gabby Petito case. And you might, if you followed it at all, or if you follow us over at True Crime Paranormal, you know that her remains were found on Sunday, and they are continuing. There's an all-out manhunt going on to try to find her fiance, who has vanished since he came home under some really suspicious circumstances. And of course, he is the person of interest in this case. It'll be more than that once he is found, but it's just taken the nation by storm. And it should. It should. What happened to Gabby was unforgivable. And there was an altercation between the two of them in Moab, Utah, a couple of weeks before her death. And the webcam footage of the cop cam footage is really frustrating, maddening, infuriating, because the officers really allowed him to paint her as this, crazy person that he was dealing with, and not at all about what was really going on there. And early in the day, people watching that video that are, domestic violence advocates or know a damn thing about domestic violence, apparently, watched that video and were appalled at the way it was handled, at the situation. And I'll tell you that we have received quite the pushback from people showing up on our lives, showing up in our, still making comments on our videos about this, calling us, that we're just sexist and that, we're all wrong here. It kills me how much this has drug domestic violence, perhaps, doers, as well as enablers out of the woodwork to jump up and defend the behavior of Brian and defend the behavior of the police officers in question. It just goes to show that we still have a whole hell of a lot more work to do. Yeah. Oh, Quelly said, yeah. She said, shit show here in Central Florida. Northport is the next town over. Ooh, I'll bet. Ooh, what a mess. What a mess. Well, I'm just holding the energy really high that in the next day or two, Brian is brought in. That they find him, they get a hold of this dude so that they can really get justice for Gabby. Because here's the thing, regardless of whatever anyone wants to say, Gabby's the one that's dead, and Gabby's the one who got left there, and Brian is the one who showed back up in Florida with her van, was there for 2 weeks before her parents, 11 days before her parents called her, as a filed a missing persons report, then lawyered up, and then disappeared. That is not the way innocent people typically behave. It's very concerning. But yes, Eddie, relationships are complicated, but domestic violence isn't not this complicated. It's pretty clear that there was a history here of domestic violence, and it is profoundly sad. The other conversation about this case that I think is really, really important from the minute this started and the huge frenzy across the country, Christy and I were both saying, wouldn't it wouldn't it be amazing if all of our MMIW cases got this kind of energy? Wouldn't it? There are more than 700 Indigenous women missing in Montana currently, or in Wyoming currently. Wyoming is in the Grand Teton National Forest, is where Gabby was found. In the state of Wyoming, over 700 missing Indigenous women. You're not hearing about that on the news. And it definitely takes us to a place of really, really needing to reevaluate our priorities in the media and as citizens. If I say John Benet Ramsey, you all know who that is, right? But if I say Mildred Oldcrow, do you know who that is? Probably not, unless you listen to my podcast, but probably not. But Mildred Oldcrow was a little girl who was kidnapped and starved to death. And was she in the news? Is anyone trying to get justice for her? No. No. Yeah. It is something that we have got to ask for better. One thing we have done because of this is that Christy reached out to one of our local news stations that has a lot of national traffic, thanks to the Daybell case, and asked if we can help partner with them in getting more energy into our local MMIW cases, of which we have many, and we have multiple. I live, I don't know, like 80 miles from an Indian reservation and the Fort Hall Reservation, and there are many missing women there. And our local community has no idea. Every time we do a story on missing women from that reservation, I hear from locals that go, "What the hell? I had no idea." I think there has to be a way, and we can take this conversation further another day as we're working on trying to help be you part of the solution, but there has to be a way to help streamline a better system and to get reporters in our local news that are willing and interested in reporting on the missing women in their area. It has to be a priority, right? So we're working on that. Christy is brilliant at this stuff. She is definitely the brainchild of it, and I'm just helping. So I will keep you posted on that, and hope to have some pointers for all of us to continue to reach out to our local news in a sense of being part of a solution to getting better coverage. The other thing you can do, you can follow MMIW social media accounts and share the missing persons that they share. You can include these conversations with people that you know. You can probably follow any local tribes that you live around on Facebook and share their posts as they have missing persons come up. Those are all things that you can do. Yeah. Yeah. It is about money. And I'll tell you something kind of sad. On our podcast, because we do one MMIW case a week, right? And on our podcast, our MMIW cases are the ones that get the very fewest listens. Yeah. And it doesn't dissuade us. We're going to keep doing them no matter what. But people are not nearly as interested in those. These Our episodes on Gabby Petito this last week have gone through the roof. They have skyrocketed us. That's never happened with an MMIW case. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish it wasn't true. I don't care about the numbers. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound gross about that. I don't care about that. It's about reporting the stories and supporting the families. But what the hell, right? We all need to pay more attention. That's all I'm saying about that. So I didn't mean for my show today to be a soapbox on that, but I guess it's what's in my heart, right? I think we just all have, it's just about awareness at the end of the day for all of us. Awareness. And anytime you see a local news story or a station do a story on an Indigenous person, be certain to comment on it, maybe a few times, like it, share it, put interest into it the best that you possibly can. That's one thing you can do, because when they know that people are paying attention, it does help to encourage more action moving forward. So those are my suggestions. I'd like some kind of a cheat sheet. Maybe we'll put some together about how we can start helping to get more conversations into the news media about MMIW cases. My other thought on that too, though, is that we need to listen. We need to listen. MMIW cases are nothing new. And I will say that this is something that's not just a problem in the US, but it's an enormous problem in Canada as well. Well, I'm hoping so, Jane. So here's what's happening. Jane said maybe Gabby's story will help bring more awareness to MMIW cases. It is in a sense, because what I'm seeing the last several days is people using Gabby's hashtags on MMIW stories and basically saying, hey, all of that energy you guys had for Gabby, put some of it into this case too. So I'm hoping in that sense that that's true. It is opening a national conversation about how a girl who was reported missing, within 24 hours of her being reported missing, it was national news, and the internet was blowing up over Gabby, and how that could happen. And it is true that they had a social media presence as well, and that's a portion of that should be attributed there as well, for sure. But at any rate, how we can get that level of steam onto other cases. In southern Montana, in the Crow Nation, there's been a missing little girl named Arden Pepito. Pepito? Yeah. Arden has been missing, oh gosh, I think Arden went missing in about the end of April. She is 3, and her family has never quit looking. They are still searching. There have been a lot of searches in the area. And she, it looks like, probably succumbed to the elements there or got into the river. But they just don't know. There was no sign of her whatsoever. And Arden's case got nothing. You can Google it and see a few local articles about it, but that's it. Why? Why? Why wasn't there a manhunt across Crow Nation for her? Why? Well, there was, of her parents and their friends and, tribe members. But again, there's just, and I could sit here all day and throw more cases off the top of my head, but that doesn't do us any good today. I'm just asking you guys to help me. That's all. Just help me. And if you see an MMIW case that you think that I ought to put some energy into, please send it to me. Christy and I only have, the resources we have amongst the two of us. And so you guys send cases and information and help our way. You have no idea how much we appreciate it. All right. Well, that's that. Okay, really quick. Just refreshing the page here in the chat. Okay, let's take a look at Luminous. You guys know Luminous is the magazine that I publish with some help from my friends here every week. And I'm so excited because it is the fall equinox edition. Since that's where we're at these days. If you want to see it, head over to katie-weaver.com and just click on the Katie's Magazine link. And you can find it there. Or Luminous Magazine, actually, I think is what it's called. I think this is how my brain works. Once upon a time, I did have it as Katie's Magazine. That's how I had that link named. I have since renamed it Luminous Magazine, and that's probably been like 2 years ago. But it's still stuck. It's stuck in here. Okay, well, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. It is finally fall. Brooke says that means it's still summer where she lives. I know it. You guys, and it's been so wild here. So Scott and I went to Montana over the weekend to watch Mars play in her first college softball game. Hooray! And it was really awesome. Really great. It was really weird because the first day we got there, it was 93 degrees. It was so hot and so unexpected. And then the next day, the day that they played, it dropped clear down into the 50s. It was rainy and cold. And then driving home, we ended up having to take a huge detour and go a different way than we normally would have because they had a cold snap, an awful snowstorm in West Yellowstone. And normally we would come home through along the side of Yellowstone and down through that area called Island Park. They were snowing like crazy. The roads were horrible. And the thing about early snowstorms like that is that a lot of times the state's not quite prepared for that. And so the care of the roads isn't what you would hope it could be. So we detoured and took an extra like hour and a half ride home just because we didn't dare try those roads. But at any rate, and we got home and it was way cold. The last 2 days I've had to run my furnace. And now today we're back up into the 70s. So whiplash. But there was frost on the truck windows when I got up this morning and going to put the dogs out. You can see your breath. Like we're really getting there. And the leaves are changing everywhere. It's fall. And I think y'all know how I feel about that. My favorite season. All right. So, yeah. All right. So I did call this the Fall Equinox Edition. And one moment of mom bragging. Mars got up to bat. The bases were loaded. That's something that strikes fear in every mother's heart. Because you want your kid to do well. And oh my God. Yeah, she cracked a double that unloaded the bases. So I think she probably could have made it to third, but her coach held her at second. That's okay. But yeah, so that's a hell of a college debut, isn't it? We'll take it. So proud of her. It was so exciting. All righty, the Fall Equinox Edition. So tomorrow's actually the Fall Equinox. So my musings this week were just a list of things that you might consider doing for fall, the fall equinox. And that's part of what I wanted to talk about today. So set up a fall altar. Well, how do you do that? Well, gather some fall-y things. Gather up some leaves or, let me know and I'll mail you some things because it's sure happening here. Yeah. So gather up some leaves, some pine cones, some nuts off trees if you get things like that. Some flowers, whatever, some apples. Apples are a really important part of fall. Just gather up some things that feel like fall for you. Or you could start putting together your ancestor altar for this turn of the wheel. And that's something that I've been working on. We talked about it the other night on the psychic hour, but I still have my altar stuff sitting next to me because I've been traveling and haven't had a chance to set it up yet. So I was going to share a few things with you that are going on my ancestor altar this year. So I think my fall altar and my ancestor altar are going to just be married, and do the same thing. But so I'm going to show you a couple of things that are going on my ancestor altar. First of all, I have this pair of scissors. Why the hell would somebody put a pair of scissors on their ancestor altar? Well, because they were my dad's. My dad was a barber. These were a pair of his clipping shears, a pair of his working scissors. So they're going on my altar to represent him. And for my mom this year, felt really drawn to put her favorite book on the altar. So The Mists of Avalon was her favorite book, amongst lots of favorite books, but this was a real treasure for her. So that's going on my altar to represent my mom. And then putting up a goddess and an angel, and then some pictures, a picture to represent my baby brother, a pack of big red gum from my grandma, and some flowers, and then some pine cones. Christy's neighbor has the best pine cones, like the big, fat, woody, open ones that are so cool. So, and some of hers fall like onto the sidewalk and onto Christy's side of the fence. And so last time I was there, I borrowed a bag and gathered up some really cool pine cones. So I'm going to put some of those on my altar, definitely some leaves and some light, some candles. I have a little lantern I'm going to put up there to represent, the light of the spirit. So those are all things I'm working on. Ooh, I must not have shut my office door tight because a pig just opened my door and walked in. So if you hear some hooves on the floor, you'll know why. I've got to. Oh, no, her dad just busted her. She left. Oh, that's so funny. I really wish you guys could have seen that actually. She knows she's not supposed to come in here. All right. Anyway, they did miss us. Oh my gosh. They were so naughty yesterday. I couldn't even believe it. Making us pay for going out of town. All right. So that's enough about altars. You guys can think about what you want to put on yours. But an altar can go anywhere you want it to go, right? Altars don't have to be super fancy, but they can be if you want them to be. But you can put an altar in the middle of the kitchen table or on a shelf or really anywhere you want to be able to accumulate some things together and then pay them some attention. That's the point of an altar, right? A gathering of things that are meaningful for you that you then spend a little bit of time with. All right. Also, for the fall equinox, take a walk in nature. This is the season. Even if it's not folly where you are, still, it is the energy of the earth that we are attuning to, right? So, spending some time in nature is still just as important. Have a bonfire if you can. A fire is a really good way to help celebrate the harvest. And there's just something about a fire in the fall, isn't there? There's something about sitting around the campfire for me in the fall in the crisper air and just, I don't know, communing with that energy, I guess. Pick apples. Apples are a part of fall, and they're also a part of celebrating fall. So, Pomona was a Roman goddess, the goddess of orchards and fruit trees, and she is a goddess that is celebrated in the fall. You can also make a scarecrow. Scarecrows have to do with fall as well, but they have been used in a lot of different cultures to celebrate fall and to mark the harvest. Yeah. There's a lot of other things you can do with apples. Apple magic is a whole thing. And so I'm not going to get into all of that today, but you may consider practicing some apple magic. That's kind of a cool thought. Uh, the only apple magic going on around here are the pigs eating every apple that falls off of our apple trees as fast as they can. And they're fenced off from this where the apples actually are. They only can reach what falls on their side, but they figured out how to get through that fence last week and ate so many apples that well, I was astonished, to be honest. Fiona's belly was so big that it was swaying when she walked because she ate so many apples. And no, that's not good for them. But it's what they did. Reflect on gratitude. A part of the harvest is reflecting on what you have harvested this year. Reflecting on gratitude for others, for yourself, for the earth and the universe, all of those things. This is a really good time for. Make a besom for your front door. This is the witch's broom, right? We've talked about this lots of times. You can purchase one. You can make one if you want to gather some fine sticks or reeds or, grass or wheat or whatever you can find. And then it goes on your front door, bristles up. Why? Because it is sweeping away what doesn't belong of your guests every time they come and go from your house. And then lastly, attend a drum circle. I know. That's a pipe dream for a lot of you guys. I get it. Not everybody has access to things like that going on. And there's also, we're still very COVID-y, especially where I live. But you may, if you can find a drum circle. If not, if you have a drum, you might just have your own little drum circle. But drum circles are a way to raise up the energy of the planet and of yourself, and they're perfect for this time of year. I really, really want to get a little drum circle going at a local park so we can sit around a fire and pound our drums. And I'm planning on doing that in October. I really want to. I've just been really busy, but that's part of my plans. So if you're local, if you want to come to a drum circle, let me know. I would really like you guys to come hang out. Oh, that's interesting. Brooke said she found drum circle videos on YouTube. That's a great idea. I wonder if we could live stream a drum circle so that everybody could contribute that wanted to. That's kind of a fun idea. I'll work on it. Maybe I can enlist Scott to be our cameraman. I know I can. All righty. Well, moving on. All right. So, bitch scopes and hello. Did you see Kelly's new branding? It is so pretty. So, she has new branding going on. So, it's up here in bitch scopes this week. So, here's what she says for today. Oh, nothing big happening today. We're in between. We're in the in between. So, don't worry about it. Tomorrow, equal day and night of light and dark, time of the harvest, and a good time for gratitude work for the fall equinox. Very good. All right. Well, let's look into Libra. Let's look at Libra's birthday. There are a couple of ways you might get into trouble this week. Boredom is one of them. Don't force something just because you crave some excitement. Excitement can be overrated. The other possible trip up is naivety. Unfortunately, most people don't handle situations with the integrity that you do, so don't be too quick to assume that someone has pure motives. Listen to your intuition. It will be pretty loud this week. Libra, that's like a, a never-ending lesson for Libra, right? That most people don't handle situations with the integrity that you do. So I've seen this in my clients, not just Librans, but you guys, you light workers and empaths, you guys have so many you're so pure, and you're so good. You expect that out of other people, and you're always really shocked when you don't get it. And it's not a personality flaw, it's one of your superpowers because you guys tend to see people as they can be, not always as they are. And because of that, sometimes you end up, yeah, in a little trouble with that, expecting people to be better than they are. But it's not a bad thing. But you're kind of famous for that. I know you know what I'm talking about. Okay, crystals to connect to the autumn equinox. If you're wondering about crystals that are good for this time of year, Fodden quartz. Fodden quartz is a kind of quartz that's tabulated and it's clear quartz, but it looks, if you can see this on the postcard, if you're looking at it, that it looks tabulated and then it has a line through it. And that line is actually a gas that runs through it. And that gas is a line that makes connections between us and the other side. If you don't have a Fodden quartz and you really want, to add a neat crystal to your collection, you can't go wrong. They're expensive, but man, to get a decent sized one, but oh, they are such a cool crystal to have. Amber. Amber connects you to the energy of your ancestors and to your ancestors. Amber to me just, I mean, I know all rocks and crystals are ancient, but amber just, there's something about amber. All right, green aventurine helps you to connect to the abundance of the harvest. And labradorite. I can't make anything that I don't include labradorite in, right? Because it is my favorite. Labradorite to connect you to the magic of autumn. So all that flash and labradorite helps to connect you to the magic of this time of year. All righty. Hey, Kevin, how you feeling? Yeah, me too, Brooke. I could have a collection of nothing but labradorite and be happy. And just every different, cut every different way and cabbed every different way. I know, ridiculous. It's fine. Okay. Alrighty. So Christy brings us her energy oracle card for the week is the Act card. So I think we figured out last week that we can watch this together. So let's try it.
If you're seeing this message is for you. Today's reading is the Act card. When this card comes up, it's time to move forward. It's time to make that decision you've been thinking about. It's time to stop resisting a change that you know you need to make. This is also an indication that the timing is right. If you've been waiting for the right timing, this is it. This is also a great opportunity to look at the options of physical movement. If you've been thinking about moving houses, for example, now is a great time. This is the right time to make those moves. It's also an important time to trust yourself. So if you've been feeling resistant or unsure, this is your message that it's time to make that movement.
Awesome. Isn't that fun? Okay. So I want to tell you guys, Christy's just like going crazy over on TikTok. And she's seriously just gathering tons of followers and doing all of these beautiful videos with her cards and with fractals. So if you're on TikTok or Instagram, go find her under the Eclectic Healer and you can follow her stuff and see what she's doing. Really cool. Pamela wants a wall made out of labradorite. You know what? My doctor's office has their whole counter is made out of labradorite. Yeah, that's why they're so expensive. Anyway, so cool. I love it. All righty. The Magic Monday message from Melissa. I am an image maker, and she is indeed. I love all her gatherings of beautiful things. Okay. Of course, we've already talked about true crime paranormal. I will say that we debuted a case this morning about a geologist named Daniel Robinson that is missing in the Arizona desert. His dad has really struggled to get any help from law enforcement, uh, ch- anyone really. And so, if you watch that video, there is in the video description, there's a link to his website. There's a petition there that you can sign to help get some more eyes on that case, and his dad could sure use your help. So if you're interested in that, go take a look at Daniel's case. You'll be a little appalled at how hard his dad's working to get help without really any, but and also just you can help make a difference there. All right, well, that's enough of that. Yeah. Let's see. Kevin said, I love amber tiger eye the most. True malachite and turquoise have a nice energy to them as well. They do. Turquoise has to be true, right? There's so much fraud in turquoise. And if you didn't pay an arm and a leg for it, you do not have turquoise. Turquoise is super expensive. But there's lots of dyed turquoise out there, like howlite that's dyed, yeah, and stuff like that. But if you really have real turquoise, you know it because you paid out the nose for it. But yes, true turquoise feels amazing for sure. Okay. Well, here's what happened. We had a full moon. So it's time for full moon fairy tale tarot. So I already pulled the card. So, of course, this is from the Fairy Tale Tarot deck by Lisa Hunt. And I pulled the card beforehand because I was organized enough to do that today. So I'm going to read the story and then we will interpret it together. So you be thinking about how you think this applies. So, in pulling the card, the question I was asking was, what do we need to know as a collective for this full moon cycle? Simple enough, right? All right. The King of Pentacles. If you can see it there. That's not too bad. All right. So we have a girl in a red dress. She's on her knees in front of what looks like water, like a riverbed, maybe. She's clutching her heart. There is a being above her with yellowish light coming out of his hands. He kind of looks like Jack Frost or, some kind of frosty being. There's lots of, there's a swirl on his, like an eternal swirl on his gown. There's lots of craggy branches. We always miss some of the symbolism, but I try and get as much in there as I can. So let's read the story. And again, we are asking the question, how does this apply to us? What do we need to know for this full moon cycle? The story is The Frost King. The culture is Russian. The keywords are integrity, support, and wealth. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a girl who lived with her mean-spirited stepmother. Mm-mm-mm. No matter how hard she tried, all her efforts were met with disdain. Meanwhile, the stepmother's real daughter was spoiled and contemptuous. The stepmother wanted to be rid of the stepdaughter, so she instructed her husband to take her to the wood and leave her for the Frost King. The father, who loved his daughter, wept and begged her to reconsider. But in the end, he was forced to carry out the grisly act. The fuck? Okay. He took his daughter by the hand and lifted her onto the sleigh. He was tempted to give her a blanket, but felt that such a provision would just prolong the agony. Oh my God. I feel like I probably reported on this guy sometime in true crime, haven't I? He brought her to a remote field and set her down in the snow. He kissed her a tearful goodbye and then quickly glided away. Okay, that's it. Yeah. It was too much to just say no. Okay. The girl sat next to a frozen stream and cried, her tears turning cold as they rolled down her raw cheeks. But then the sound of popping and snapping tree branches could be heard nearby. She sat solemnly as the great Frost King approached. He snapped his fingers and gnashed his icy teeth as he bent over her. Well, little girl, do you know why I am here? The Frost King asked in an aggressive tone. Yes, you are the one who's going to take me, the girl said calmly. Tell me, are you warm enough? He bent over the girl and snapped his fingers louder. Even though the poor girl was shivering, she did not complain, but answered, Yes, great Frost King, I am warm enough. The Frost King got closer and snapped louder and asked, Are you warm enough now? The girl, whose lips had turned purple, graciously answered, Yes, I am warm enough, great sir. Now the Frost King snapped his fingers so loudly that the ice crackled in the adjacent stream. His eyes grew wider as he hovered over the quivering girl with his icy breath, whispered, Now, how do you feel? Are you still warm? The little girl was so stiff and numb that she could barely move her shivering lips. But with a low, sweet murmur, she managed to say, Yes, Frost King, I am still warm. The Frost King pulled back. He was so impressed with this little girl's uncomplaining nature and sweet tone that he put blankets over her and then presented her with a chest filled with jewels and a gold and silver embroidered robe. What? So, because she was too polite to tell the truth about how she was feeling, she's getting rewarded? Uh, I hate this story. Okay, let's keep going. The stepmother was preparing cakes for the funeral and ordered her pitiful husband to fetch the body. Pitiful is right. As the man put on his coat, the dog barked. Your daughter is sweet and shall live a long while. Your other daughter is vile and will die in a short while. The dog said that. Well, okay. Good job, dog. You wicked creature, shouted the mother. Then the door opened, revealing a radiant stepdaughter bedecked in finery. When the mother saw the chest filled with treasures, she ordered her husband to take her real daughter to the very same spot. Imagine what great gifts the Frost King will bestow upon her. But when the Frost King approached that child, she was so miserable and ill tempered that he slowly froze her to death. Why? Why is this a story? Meanwhile, the mother waited an interminable hour for the return of her daughter. At last, her husband was sent to pick her up. The chest must be too large for her to carry on her own. Be sure you don't drop it. An ominous wind pushed the door in, and the stepmother was sure her precious daughter had returned. She ran out, but instead of collecting treasure, she picked up her daughter's frozen body and froze herself while carrying her towards the house. What the hell? Okay. All right. Well, I mean, she was wicked, wicked. But what the hell? All right. Symbols and meaning. The resolute girl wears the color red, representing life. The hardness of the ice melts, echoing her own abilities to overcome the coldness of her surroundings. The Frost King is illuminated with warm spirals. He is there to summon respect and offer relief to a desperate situation. His bag contains the secrets of his power and wisdom. The crown, spiked with high rising icicles, is a symbol of his connection to higher thought processes. The tree is adorned with more spirals, symbols of hope for continuation. Excuse me. Maintaining a sense of integrity may be key to surviving a period of confusion or tumult. Okay, I can internalize that message. Summoning the help of someone who can provide a voice of logic as you try to determine your best course of action. Be open to advice and try to be as objective as possible when reviewing an aspect of your life that warrants adjusting and may require assistance. See, I can get my head around all of that, but I don't know how that even relates to this story, really. But yeah, yeah, JR, Frost King, boo. Belle says it's a parable to shut up and behave. I guess. Oh my gosh. We're never reading that one again. Uh, all right. So here's the takeaways for me because obviously we are not going to we're not going to sit down and shut up. We're not going to stuff our feelings. We're not going to say we're fine when we're not. We're not doing that. We're not going to teach our kids to do that. That isn't who we are anymore. And so I guess if we could take any message from this story is to that you don't have to do that. That you don't have to suffer in silence. I don't care if the Frost King freezes you to death. He won't. That's dumb. But the other part of that, though, I mean, the bigger part of the message was that this period, you may need some advice, you may need some collaboration, and you may need to really consider what you want, what your goals are, and how you want to get there. So I feel like that should be more of the takeaway than the rest of this. Yeah, he should have lit a fire and given her hot cocoa, right? Ooh, boy, that's some. I'm gonna say it. It's a patriarchal bullshit, is what that is. I'm dumbfounded. I really am. I'm dumbfounded that we read that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All righty, let's take a look. Norella said, if you're doing scans, please help me. Norella, let's take a look, babe. Hmm. Okay, your root chakra is way out of place. So let's get it gathered back up. Whew. Drive that down into the earth. So your root chakra should look to me like a pretty good sized rotating ball at the base of your feet. Uh, but your root chakra was more like a mud puddle, but not connected to you the way it's supposed to be. So I did fix that and pulled some energy all the way up your right or your left foot, clear to the top of your head, pushing that back into the earth, Norella, to get a good reciprocal energy. And then I've got to pull a lot out of your crown. Lots of overthinking, lots of worry up in your crown. And I don't like the way your chest feels either. So I'm going to do a little work right there. Dang, babe, you're really going through it. I'm sorry. Okay, that's better in that crown. Let's just get some energy work here. I'm going to put a chi ball of green light in the center of your chest to help with some healing here. Better, better, better. Okay. Yeah, that's the first time I felt like I could take a full breath since I felt into you. Alrighty, Narelle, let me know if that helps or what else I can do to help you. I'm sorry. There's obviously some hard struggles going on here. Okay. At least he didn't force her to marry him, Belle says. Well, no kidding, right? Jane said, the order from the evil mother regarding the child and judgments. Yes, agree. Don't read that one again. If we see that one, we're picking a different card. Sid said, that story is a good example of the kind of historical programming that afflicts the global mindset concerning prioritizing people based on their perceived value to others. Very good question or point. Yep. Okay, JR, let's take a quick look here. Hey, Mary, good to see you. Hmm. Okay, I'm just going to clear your aura. JR, here, what I'm seeing is that you're a little weighed down by the worries of other people, by the collective chaos that's around you. I feel like it's like your neighbors, your city, just the world around you is really chaotic and it settles on you. So I'm just going to clear your aura here and clean that up. Yep. Some anxiety stuff going on here too. So let's work through that in your chest and up in your crown. Better. Good. Good. Now you get yourself outside and get your feet in the on the earth if you can, JR. That's going to make a difference. All right, Kevin, let's take a look. You are healing pretty good, I think. Kevin had his gallbladder out. Got rid of that mofro. I'm so glad you did. Yeah, you are healing up really good. Yep. I'm just going to fill that area up with light. Just like any other organ or appendage that you lose, well, you have to replace that with some energy. And I think you've already been working on that, but I'm going to take another hit at it just to make sure we're keeping that area all filled up and light. Good. All right. And we'll just put a good ball of green light all the way around that incision area, around your liver, that whole place to just help support you. I agree, though. You are healing up good. And you seem like you're good and grounded, which is great because when you've been through surgery and pain meds and stuff, boy, sometimes not so much. Okay. Yeah, Mary, let's take a look. She said she also could use a clearing of sorts. She's been a little off since the full moon. Yeah, let's take a peek. Yeah, your root is a little shaken too. So we'll get that back in order. Lots of root chakra imbalances. Kind of makes me wish I would have done a root chakra grounding. Maybe I'll do that on TikTok today. Okay, good grounding of that root. Pull some energy up from your left foot. Pull it clear over your head here. Yeah, that's better. And I think the time you've been spending outside, Mary, is really paying off as well to just help keep that energy moving through your body. I know you've got a lot on your plate right now. Okay, good. All right, that is quite a lot better. Yes. Okay. All righty. Let's jump in the other chat here really quick. Probably just about out of time. Yeah. See, Lori, I hear that. She said, it always shocks me when someone tells me they don't believe what I've said about anything. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, I'm always so surprised and taken aback. I cannot conceive anyone thinking I would do anything but tell the truth. I guess I'm just used to being believed because I'm an honest person. Sure. Going back to that conversation about expecting other people to be honest or have integrity because you do. I know. Norella, you are so welcome, babe. My honor. Absolutely. Okay. Amy, super fast. She said, would like some full moon insight. Started back up with real estate. I'm a part of this Zillow program. I've signed up with a coach too. Any thoughts on this, please? How do I do with this? Or how will I do with this? Thank you. Amy, I feel like your coach is going to help you a ton on getting motivated, getting your stuff together. I feel like you're going to do really well. I'm glad you went back in with real estate. I think it's a good spot for you. And as we know, real estate is totally bonkers right now. So it's a good place to be. I feel like you're going to do well. Really pay attention to the coaching piece about social media presence and, connecting to other people and to their projects and getting a foot in the door with people who have big things starting to happen. Because I think that's where we're going to see you is, being able to work with like big builders and stuff like that that need some help with, with their projects. So I'm loving it. I think it's great. All right, you guys, we did what we do. We talked down to the end of the show. Don't forget, I am a professional psychic advisor over at one2listen.com. I am there every day. What's my TikTok? It's Katie Brower Weaver. Just, I am just always what you see is what you get. I am so not fancy. At any rate, there you go. So come see me over at one2listen.com. I will be back. This has been another production of One Two Radio. This has been the Katie Weaver Show here on One Two Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.